Hey, Renita, good morning.
Morning, everyone.
I think we're at top of the hour, so must be 11 o'clock your time on the East
Yes.
Coast,
Yep.
8 o'clock here on the West Coast. Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting in, just give it a couple minutes. Not a couple minutes, a few seconds. Let me just get things set here. I see people rolling in. That's nice. All right, so looks like we're a minute past the hour, Renita.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to kick it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
All good. Yeah. Waiting for it.
Just getting set here. So thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for attending. Looks like we got a few people rolling in, got a little audience today. Thank you for taking your time to spend with Fastman this morning. We're excited. And welcome to this presentation. I'm Brian Lapointe, and I'm joined. I got Renita Day with me today. Renita is a highly skilled ECM consultant from Fastman, been in the OpenText ecosystem for many years. And we've been, both of us have been working in the OpenText ecosystem for many years, and we're pleased to be showcasing this new innovation from Fastman, our Bulk Data Manager for Core. One move, everything done, basically. And as you know, Core Content is OpenText's multi-tenant cloud offering that's ideal for organizations looking for a fast deployment of, Content Aviator AI capabilities, or even lead application integration with systems such as your SAP, Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, and even, Google Workspaces is becoming popular. And, as you embark on your content cloud journey, having self-service tools to quickly and easily load documents and updating your metadata and core content is critical to adoption and success. And this is where Fastman's Bulk Data Manager for Core will deliver a high impact to your organization. So, Renita, would you like to just say hello to the audience? I know we were chatting earlier, but just to they can hear from you.
Good afternoon. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, and I think we'll show you something cool today. Yeah.
Good, thank you. So without further ado, we can get started. And what we like to do maybe right now is just do a few poll questions, just to kind of level set some things here. So I'll use the GoToWebinar tools here. I think I'll pull up the first poll, and it's interactive. So if you would respond, I would be greatly appreciated. And I'm Renita, I'm displaying the first poll. I believe you can see it.
Yes, I can. Yep.
And the question's around: do you have plans to AI enable your business documents using Content Aviator? And Content Aviator is the obviously we've been hearing many of this. That's the OpenText branding or brand name for their AI capabilities right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting some responses in, we're collecting our responses. Looks like 33% say yes within the next 6 months. It's around that. It's kind of leveling out, 25%. And then the other 75% say no plans right now. So still early days is what it's saying. Threw this question out there because this, one of the quickest ways to get to Content Aviator is through the core content solution right now, because it's a multi-tenant SaaS. So thank you for the feedback. We'll move on to, I'll close that poll. We'll move on. I got a few others here. We'll launch this one. And, as you're rolling things out, questions about how you're going to do it. Do you plan to deploy using business workspaces? Is this something that you plan on doing? And you may be currently doing it today, or you're planning to do it, or you're not doing it. You may be keeping things still just in traditional files and folders and so forth. So getting a strong positive feedback. People see the benefit. They probably understand working with their lead applications. Content in context, as they say, we're seeing a high response rate, 71% that they're using workspaces. So that's a positive theme to build upon. So thank you for feedback, everyone. We'll close that. what else do we got here? I got another one. Look, I got too many polls maybe. Let me launch. So, in your systems, do you have a big need? Do you have a need to update your metadata, your category and attribute data on your existing content that's already in your OpenText system? And pretty easy. Yes, no. And for those that are out there that have perfect metadata, you can share that with us too. So we get a strong response on the yes. People have a strong need to go in there. I think even we'll talk about it, but in the world of moving towards AI-driven solutions, being hyper focused on keeping your metadata up to date will help us, of course. And where are we going here? Maybe I got one more. Maybe too many polls this time. So one more, we'll complete it. We'll wrap it up. And I'm just curious about, are you using any lead applications with extended ECM? So this is kind of a yes/no scenario here. Lead applications are things like SAP, SuccessFactors, Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, and like I said, I've been, maybe even Google Workspaces. Yep. So again, a strong response there too. 71% showing that they're working with lead applications like that. So great. Thank you for all that. That's some good feedback as we get going, and we talk about this later. It kind of lends itself to where the presentation is definitely going. Yep. So let's dive in just a little bit about Fastman. The company's been working in the OpenText ecosystem for a long time, over 20 years, and we have a deep expertise primarily within the OpenText content management platform, which is formerly known as Extended ECM. And we currently run 3 strong business lines, popularly known as managed services, managed agreements, and this brings us to the management suite. And this is our out-of-the-box toolkit that will enhance any, primarily OpenText content management deployment by increasing the precision on your information governance, and this will result in greater AI and even OpenText Content Aviator readiness. And within the OpenText ecosystem, Fastman holds several distinguishing achievements, and we're a proud solution extension partner of OpenText, for which the Fastman Management Suite is readily available to purchase. We also have ISV system integrator status and OT Cloud certification for the OpenText Content Management platform too. So let's just, before we dive in here, focus a little bit on achieving AI success. As you start to plan for this, it's a very important topic that we continuously hear. We hear about this every day, right? And in fact, we participated earlier this year in an OpenText virtual content summit. I think we did that around February, March, where you may have seen us talk about this with one of our customers from Sonoma County Public Utility District. They joined us on that session. And as we learn and we prepare to introduce these AI automation to our business, the importance of information governance is critical to your success. And we're finding that this is leading to this heightened awareness of the importance of stronger information governance and the tools needed to achieve it, and things such as a simpler way to manage your access controls in your systems. Or maybe a little more relevant to today's presentation is establishing a method for consolidating your content and metadata tagging at scale. But also greater comfort that any breaches can quickly and reliably be rectified. And at Fastman, OpenText and our customers, we really are hyper focused on this area. And together we're pleased to be sharing these best practices today. And our intent is to dive deep into these tools with some live demonstrations shortly. And this brings us to the Fastman Bulk Data Manager for Core. And the OpenText community is moving to core content for intelligent cloud content management, and to get essentially an AI or a generative AI assistant out of the box. And what this does, it helps to take the guesswork out of managing content, and helping users find, summarize, translate, and even create content in seconds, a lot faster than we used to be able to do it. And to further accelerate and simplify your core content deployment journey, Fastman has taken our best practice from a proven product of ours, widely used within the OpenText content management content server community, and we have adapted it to core content. So that's what this is all about. So it is built from the ground up using the OpenText core APIs. And the Fastman, and it also uses the Fastman, we call it the BDM design architecture. And we're pleased to introduce two key functional modules that we're presenting today, which we call load taxonomy and update attributes, which are two modules within our bulk data manager for core content. Okay. Furthermore, so BDM for core is our innovative solution for data transformation. And what it does is it has a low deployment footprint that introduces more self-service to the customers. It's a client application that works with core content. And, IT administrators prefer it because they can safely deploy a bulk upload tool to their business users to complete the job rather than directly being involved in a time-consuming migration project, let's say. And the business users use it to update metadata on existing content and load taxonomies from, it could be their shared drives, it could be SharePoint, it can even be Box to the core content system so they can consolidate it. And then from a licensing perspective, it's priced by production instance with a popular no user transaction counting, right? So unlimited. And you authenticate the BDM using your core content credentials. So it also respects your security model nicely, And this turns your repetitive uploads and manual metadata entry into one intelligent, effortless flow. Okay. And how will you use it? There's a variety of ways to use and benefit from BDM for core. And this is how it's different than potentially any other solution that may be out there. You can configure it and use it to achieve any of these outcomes right here, such as loading files and folders to business workspaces as part of your extended ECM integration deployment that you're doing. And it can also be used for you can use it for a large lift and shift migration where you're consolidating data to core content. But I foresee customers using it just through the life cycle of core content on ongoing projects to retire legacy network and shared drives to core content. But it will fit very nicely in front of a business process, maybe regular ingestion of documents as part of a defined business process. Maybe you would use it as part of when you're onboarding in human resources, or it's in financial services when you're onboarding client files, you're submitting client files for processing, or maybe in an engineering submittal use case, right? So it's a way to bring content in context, tag it with metadata, and keep it up to date. And that brings me to the last point. People will use Bulk Data Manager just to bulk update, but to fix their metadata on existing content is in the system. Many times it's whether you're fixing it or just updating it because of whatever business rules have require it. It's good to have a tool that lets you do that and lets you do that efficiently. Okay. Almost there. And as we take a quick look at BDM for core, there are many differentiating features that stand out in this comprehensive solution. And it's things such as you'll see in today's demonstration, we provide smart document type mapping based on your core content configuration. And we're able to validate content before migration or updating. And this is a very useful feature. And then just that metadata inline viewing and updating that gives you these Excel-like features for updating the category and attribute data. And you'll see during the demo all these comprehensive features working together as one nice solution. And this is my signal to you, Renita. We're almost there where we're going to give some live demonstration and then some Q&A at the end. The architecture, simple architecture before we jump. Let's just take a look at the diagram, and we're illustrating the key components. You have on the left the BDM client running on the user's PC, and this communicates with the OpenText system via REST APIs very nicely. And then separately, there is a BDM deployment server that sits that you host outside of the OpenText system that runs the settings service. So it really is just those three components that you'll see in the demonstration today. I mean, we're going to drive it from the Bulk Data Manager client. You're going to see us loading into core content, and you'll just see it as it's a very simple deployment architecture. So, Renita, are you ready to roll? How are you doing?
Yep, I would make myself presenter.
Yeah, take it over. Feel free to drop any questions into the systems, folks. You can ask questions in the chat, or there's actually a question section too. We'll be monitoring that.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen.
We see Microsoft Teams right now.
Oops. Oh, I'm sorry about that. That would mean that it didn't share the right one. Is it visible now?
You just you were able to drag it over, and now it's in screen.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can change it to my other screen, right? So
that's right.
Okay. Do you see core content?
I see. Yep. It says welcome, Renita. Core content login.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that. So I have the core content client over here, the BDM client, in the home page right now. I have not authenticated or anything of that sort. And you could see that from the yellow R on the top, right? I'm on the home page right now, just to tell you a little bit based on your diagram earlier today, where you were talking about the architecture. We talked about the client. This client is sitting on my laptop right now, and I would be connecting to core content using the core content APIs, right? If I go under the settings, you would see there is an option here to provide the license service, which sits on a VM on a Tomcat instance, right? Once you have that, we provide you license key, which would help you connect to a tenant in core content. That's how core content works. You will have a tenant with multiple subscriptions to it. Core content management would be one of the subscription. And as you can see, I have my tenancy right over here, and I get an option to connect, right? As soon as I do that, I would be taken into core content authentication method. I had authenticated earlier, so it just did it on the fly. Otherwise, I would be required to enter my details, and with that, the authentication would pass successfully. Once I've logged in, you could see I am green. That means I'm good to start the process. So as simple as that, right? Next, we have the two features that you were talking about, load taxonomy and update attribute. They're available here. You can minimize the screen and extend it as you go on, and you could select one of those options to start your process, right? Today, I'm planning to do a load taxonomy first. So I'm going to bring data in my business workspaces. It can be a folder structure as well. Along with that, I'm going to provide it with a set of metadata for the initial load. And then I'm also going to show you how I'm going to update that metadata based on the changes that I would like to do on that set, right? So without further ado, let me just select a folder from my local drive, right? So this is my structure. Currently, this is in my local. It could be a map drive, as you were talking earlier. It could be a SharePoint drive. It could also be a box or any other drive which could be mapped locally, right? I have this one. I'm going to select that folder. And just to give you an idea, what does that folder have? A few folder structures in here. Each of them have a subfolder, and then there are documents within it, right? So a few documents under each of these items that I'm going to bring in today, right? Once I've selected that, you can see I have the next button. So it is a controlled flow. And as you move along, the flow will change to the next step, asking you for relevant inputs and then guiding you through the process, right? The source selection is done. I'm now in content server. What I see today is based on my access. I've logged in as renita.day@fastman.com. Based on my read access, this structure is shown to me. If there are folders which are not relevant to me, then those won't come up. And that is relevant because this being a self-service tool, if you're planning to give it to your business user, you would want them to upload data in their structure, not in like other areas of your enterprise, right? So that's very important, and that's relevant for your security reasons as well, right? So for today, I'm going to stay in the product demo structure. That's my bulk data manager for core. I have a few demo scenarios set up. I'm going to work on the human resources folder. Right? So I have a few business workspaces created. In here, I'll go in a minute and show you those business workspaces as well. So in here, I'm going to select this and going to click on next. So if I come back to my core, this is my structure. You could see my first set of business workspaces over here. Opening one of them, I would be taken into the subfolders which are here. I'm planning to add the document over here. And there are a few document types that are configured, which I will come in a minute. Okay, so I plan to bring the documents over here. Um, Once I have done that selection, you see we are in the type resolution screen. Now this relates to the diagram you were showing earlier about smart mapping, right? So what really happens in core is you configure document type. Document types will have its attribute. You can have the categories defined with it, but you also have the option to say which document types are available in which structure, right? So in this case, all my documents that are, the document types that are available for this are two, payslips and tax document. So these are the two options that I have, and based on the type I'm selecting, the metadata is going to differ a little bit. So I'm going to click on payslip for 2 or 3 of these, and then tax document for one of them, right? So you can see here I've done this. Just to show you how that configuration looks, this is my employee workspace over here that you could see. That's my folder structure that you could see here. And I am in the tax and social security folder where I'm trying to upload the data. And you can see here that the two document types that were selected is payslip and tax document. So that's how the data is coming through. So we respect each and every configuration that you have done in core. Now, if you are not working with business workspaces, simple folders, you would see that over here under folder assignment, and we will respect this configuration as well, right? So
Renita, in core content, is that the template that comes from OpenText for HR?
yeah, so I did use that. So recently they released a bunch of templates that make our life really easy for the first time deployment, the turnkey templates. There are a set of ones. I have used the one which come as part of human resources. So if I go to document types, which I would in a second, you could see all these ones are coming from the document template as well as the business workspace configuration that I showed you earlier. So I have used that template today for our demonstration, just brings a predefined set of metadata that I could assign.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and you could see that it was easy for me to kind of map it. So that's where the smart document mapping comes into picture, right? This is all our tool capability, which reads the configuration from your core tenancy, the subscription, and then brings that for you, right? I've done the selection. Let's go next. And then I get the default page. Now remember, I did have two different type of document type, and I did select both of them. So you could see that I have two tabs here, which allows me to enter a different configuration. I'm not sure if you could see it. I'm using the light format as part of the settings, but the payroll date is highlighted in a slightly darker color, which means it is a mandatory field. You could change the color formatting, and this allows me to enter a value that I would apply on all the documents. So let's say the payroll did run on 31st of every month. So I'm selecting that. And then for the tax document, what is happening is it's bringing up the tax year from the definition, as well as there are two category attributes also coming in. So if I go back to my core, and the one that I was showing you is tax document. So let me just move a little bit here. Let me open the tax document real quick for you. You can see all this information. You can see the tax year is a required field. The default value has been entered. So I get that value predefined. And then there is also a document information category, which has to drop down attributes. So brings all of that, brings the values as well. So I can say it's federal tax return. And if I want to enter a value for the category, I could do that as well. So I'm going to give a year. Over here, 2025, I'm going to just change it to 2024. And as you saw, shows you the metadata that are there in core, brings that to you, shows to you in a very nice format. If there are defaults, you get that. Drop downs, you get that. Types are respected. So for dates, you would see there is a date pop-up. It includes time as well. Mandatory fields are shown here so that you can take a decision to fill them right up on the screen before uploading, right? Now, once I've filled my default values, I am good to click on next. And it's just giving you a little bit of an alert to make sure that you have reviewed all the tabs, right? So you don't miss anything. And then it shows me the content from my source, maps it to the destination based on the document type I have selected, and also gives me the option to kind of update all the metadata. So these are all my business workspaces. Let's go into the payslip one. You could see the default value that I had entered earlier. Those all come in here. If I want to enter another option, I could do that. If I want to enter any other fields, I could do that. If I go to the tax document, you will see those informations are coming as well. And I did say that the tax year is mandatory, right? So
Yeah.
what it also does is if you have not entered a mandatory field, it gives you alerts, right? There are two things that you saw happen. Now, when I removed the value, it gave me an alert up top, and also the fields are shown here, telling me that this is a required value, right? And if I enter a value in here, you would see that the red boxes are going off, right? So very helpful when I'm doing the entries to make sure that the data is being correctly entered. And as I filled all that information, you saw that the top menu also went off on the screen, right? Other than that, you see the item names, you see the description, you could change that for demo, just for one, and then you can see all the other fields as well. Now, important thing to remember, we only allow you to enter the data based on the data type. So you don't do a mistake in here, which results in an error later on, right? So if it's a numeric field, for example, the date, this one is an integer field. If even if I'm trying to enter like a text alphanumeric thing, is not really accepting that input from a keyboard. And that's really helpful because I'm doing all my validations up here, right? You can see my drop downs, which is again good. You can choose a relevant data, right? Once I'm happy with this, there are no errors that I see here. I can review this and then I can click on the upload button. Again, a quick alert from the system, which asks me to make sure I've reviewed all the tabs, and then I can start the upload process. And there comes the magic, uploading the document as we speak. Now, the first few are showing warning. The reason for that is we did an upload in a business workspace, which has a predefined set of folder structure. So the folder structure is not going to get created again. It's going to reuse that. So that's the message over here is saying is existing. If you are doing it in a folder structure, which is not in a business workspace, and that folder doesn't exist, like you were talking about the lift and shift migration, where you bring the structure in based on the source location, right? The source structure, it would also create the new folders, right? So map existing, create new. And again, all the document type
So if the
configuration would
folders are
flow through.
there, it just keeps
Yeah.
them, but if they're not, it creates the folders for you.
Exactly. Not for the business workspace, but for the normal folder structures. Yes.
For the
So
folders.
it respects the core content setup completely over there, right? You can see all the documents got uploaded. There were not a lot, 12 documents, but it took a few seconds, and I think most of them were uploaded real
It's
quick.
pretty fast.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. Yeah. And I did do a few tests, and I'm in, as you were talking earlier, right? I'm in Atlanta. My subscription is actually in Australia. So it did move the content from here to there, did the upload, did the metadata changes and everything, right? So all the checks and balances also. So I think it's pretty
It's
cool.
global. Yeah, it's global. And
Yeah,
you got a quick, oh, you got a quick link in the core content, which
yeah.
is, yeah,
Yeah, and I think it is very helpful because it takes me to, oh, see, I did get to your folder. So all the documents in here, I just click here, I'll click on the I button, and you can see the date that it was there, and then you can see the document in here. You can see the description created by BDM Core. I can go to versions. That's the first version. So you see the PDF document up here. History is like an audit thing. It doesn't really tell you, like Content Server, how things are done because it's an API driven thing, but it does tell you that the create happened and the user who did it. So this is the person who logged into BDM uh, to perform the operation. So it gives that information intact as well, right?
it's rich.
Uh, and I didn't have any records management on the file document type, so that's why it's not shown up here. But if I did have that configuration, it would bring that in as well. So you don't have to really worry about RM if you have configured it on a document type. It brings that information as well. So completely takes care of your move at once, right? So you don't have to worry about anything else while you do that. Questions or anything that you have in mind that you want to quickly highlight, Brian?
But,
I'll go back
you
to
know
the
what?
BDM screen.
On the doc types, when you're loading, so it's reading the doc types from core content and it's going to present those available to you, right?
Yep.
Do you have to select one, or is there a generic one you can use? Do you have to assign a doc type?
Yes. So when you do upload in Content Server, let's say I bring another document in, right? Like let's bring this one. Sorry, right? The core content makes you select one,
Yep.
right? That's how core content works, right? And we respect that. So if there is an association, which means that you need to enter some metadata or there's an RM associated with it, you would see that selection in your BDM client as well. If there is nothing set up on your core content side, then it's called file, which is a basic um, type that comes with core content. It doesn't have any metadata, but you can still enter a description for it, right? So that really depends on your setup, where you are trying to upload the data and what is configured by your admins. Okay, I'm going to stop that upload for now. And yeah, you can see that it was pretty easy for me to bring things in, right? Um, The other thing that I would say that it also respects the subtype, sub-item selection. So sometimes when you select the document type, you have the folder assignment with say subtypes. And if you have that, then we respect that information as well while doing the uploads. So I'll conclude on the load taxonomy bit unless there are any questions from you, Brian, or if you would like to ask something about
Yep.
the features. Um, I would like to move on to the update attribute feature as well.
Yep. Let's take a look.
Yep. So I'm going to close this scenario up here real quick, and then I'm going to move to the next one, which is update attribute. And I'm going to just minimize the screen, right? Now, the first thing that you would notice is we have this filter button, which lists down all the documents type that you have configured in your system. So if you really don't know where the data is, you could like click on this and it would show you the information, right? For me right now, I would say that I kind of know where my data went in. And also you can select multiple over here. So that's a big win for us because if you want to update multiple items, you could do that, right? Now, over here, I did my uploads just a few minutes back in my human resources folder. So let me just bring that up. Now, I can select onesie, twosie items, or I could select the whole thing. That really depends on me, right? I'm going to just select the 4 business workspaces today, which were around like 12, 13 documents in total, 2 different document types, and I'm going to update that metadata, right? So once you've done the selection, I go next. And then this is a 3-step process because you select your data from core, you update the metadata, and you finish that information, right? So what it is trying to do now is it's going to read the information from your core content, and it's going to bring and show that information to you. So you could see that all the pay slips are displayed here, and the docs documents, which I think were 3 in total, are displayed over here, right? The existing values are red. You remember I did change one of the description while I was doing the upload, so that is also reflected here, as well as all the metadata, which is either coming from the category or the trade. Everything is shown here. This also gives me the option to update the value now. So if there was a mistake while uploading, or I didn't have enough information while I did the initial load, I can now come and fix that. And that is important for AI and other searches or even filtering, because based on that, you could use core contents, filters and searches to bring data out, right? So you could fix that now. One thing that I could do is, let's say this one is Renita's folder, if I'm not wrong. Yep. I'm going to just type in my name, and then I could bring that down to all the rows, right? I know 3 documents. The next one is Brian, and I could again do that operation over here. And then the last one is, I think, Alistair. Just used our team members. Okay. So you can see I could do that. If I want to change one of the values, I could do that as well. And then anything that is changed will be shown in a highlighted color, in this case, yellow. And if there are any mandatory fields which was there, which you kind of removed, you would get a notification here as well, right? So very helpful when you are doing updates. You don't have to go back to core and keep an eye on which are the mandatory ones, which are not mandatory, etc. You get all that information right on the screen. If you're doing a change and you don't like that, you would like to do an undo, we have the undo button as well on top. I need to select the row for which I need to do the undo, and then I can click on the button here and it would do the change for me, right? So I could revert back the original value or the previous value that I've entered and then fix that value as well, right? This is my first set of documents. This is my second. If I want to change these values, I could do that again, and it will again get highlighted in the yellow color, right? You can see the document type is selected. I could change that here and then copy the rows below. I could say this is tax return document, and again, I could change it if I need it. And then once I've done that, I could say below. There's also an option to copy it above. So really depends how you're doing it. And then obviously the undo button works as well, right? And you can see all these values up on top. You can see where they are. You can extend the screens if you want, just to see more data if that's relevant to you. There's a lot of options in here to see the data correctly as well, right? Once I'm happy with it, I am going to click on the update button real quick. And again, you get that prompt because there are multiple tabs. And then the update starts. And as you can see, that was really quick. And I did change all the values, right? Of at least one of them in each of the documents. So gives you the location, gives you the name of the item, tells you what type it is, what is the status of it. You saw that in the previous functionality as well, where it was existing, it told you that, and then it gives you a link to the metadata. And I think there you go. Just refresh that. I'm sorry about that. Maybe let me just go in here and show you the changes, right? So if I do that, you could see all my information in here. 2025 text document inside, everything has been updated in here. And if I go to the history, you will see there is also an update done. So pretty cool. And shows you the time. There was a 10-minute delay when I did this, and it's been updated by Vanita. And then if I go to the properties, I don't know if I changed any of my metadata, but you could see uploaded for demo information as well.
Yeah,
Right?
this is great. I mean, we were talking
Yeah.
about AI, Renita, right? Keeping it up.
Yeah.
People are buying core content because they want a fast way to get to the content aviator, right? Because it's all multi-tenant SaaS, is the way to go. And keeping this metadata up to date, like you may have brought it in a migration, right? However you brought it in, but then you realize, oh, that's not exactly the way I need it, right? So to get the responses I'm looking for. So this is a great way to go in and target your data, clean it up, fix things that need to be, and then we talked about like the Fastman BDM architecture, our best practices. This is we have two modules. You can see this is the update attribute module. We have 10 years of experience or more from our BDM for the content management platform. So we've taken some of those best practices, with low taxonomy, with update attributes, and basically built that in from the ground up now with core content, the next gen version of OpenText's content management strategy, right? So this is great.
And I would say it's best practices, learning from that tool, everything combined is what we get for core. And both products are different. So obviously, there's no document type concept in Content Server. There's no mapping concept there, but we need to get that sorted out here because we need to respect core contents rules for upload, for document management and things like that. And this tool does it really well. It doesn't really allow you to do anything, which is not allowed, kind of a thing.
Because otherwise your choices are what? If you go back to core content, you basically have to drag and drop your content in and then manually fill it out by each document, right? So that's your out of the box way of doing things. There are migration tools. We've had some questions in the chat today, right? Magellan's Integration Center. I forget what they call the name these days, but it was always called OpenText Integration Center. Historically Magellan was the legacy name for doing large migrations to any system, right? So this kind of fits between that, right? And gives you two of the best ways to get your business users self-service to get their data in, and they can get large amounts. You can see it's pretty fast, right? You can get large amounts you can lift and shift folder structures from Box if you wanted to, the whole HR of your company, right? And then as you bring it in, you can fix the metadata as you need to. And that's what's beautiful about the tool.
Yep. I'm going to go back to home. Yep.
Are you pretty much, keep your screens up in case we have some questions, Renita. We got a toggle on. You have anything else to share, or you want to take some questions?
I think yeah, I could take some questions, Brian, and if there are anything that we have covered, I can show them on the screen as well. We have time. So,
yeah. Oh, we had a little question about, is it a browser-based client or the BDM client? I believe it's a .NET thick client, right?
It's a thick client, so you install it on your machine and you launch it. You need to authenticate to a tenant that you are licensed for. We provide you licenses as well. And then the client stays in your system, is in your tray until you quit it, and then the tokens and everything gets refreshed as you work through the different modules of the system. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we had to build this from the ground up again using the API, so all that authentication to the core content system had to be re-engineered. So that's some of the work that was really done there. There's some questions around document types and stuff like that, how that works. Like you can have multiple document types, I guess is what the question came in about. I guess many of the people who come to these webinars are used to the OpenText content management, which is content server, and which doesn't use the document type requirement, but core content has document types, right? And so you can have multiple document types.
Right. And you could, yeah. And that's the challenge, right? When you do bulk updates, do the correct selection and then fill the metadata based on those selections, right? I'm just going to select.
So you had a template that you downloaded from OpenText that they provide to their customers for HR, right? There's an HR template, and in there it gives you the defined document types, basically payslip and the I think there was another one, right?
Oh, there are a lot of them. What I did was I went into a single folder which was called tax and security, right? The two document type allowed in that folder is only tax and payslip. That's the reason you only saw two of them. In the template that OT provides us,
Oh, there was a lot more.
there's a lot more, but they are being selected at different other folders. So if I had like multiple folder structure in my system, when I did the change, it would have asked me to do that selection. So a sample of it would be something like this, right? So you see here, I have 4 different type of category document types that is been selected. And if I go to a different folder, maybe that list will change based on what is being selected and what is being configured in the system, right?
Yeah, so you got 4 to pick from over there. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's based on your configuration. So let's say that you are trying to bring a folder which has all the payslip, then you select that for that input type, right? And then maybe another one which has all the tax document, you would do that, right? So it helps you in doing that mapping on the very first screens of the system before you even go to the update attribute, set attribute kind of a page where you enter the value. So you do the selection based on that, fill your defaults, and then go into the set attributes where you can enter the actual values of the document type.
Yeah, so questions coming, can you create a document type from the system, from Fastman? So I don't believe that's possible.
No, that's from the admin UI of Core.
You got to create these doc types in core content, and then we'll read them in BDM as
what I did was I did import them. So it was like 2-step process, I think, just download and import them. And I had everything ready. I just had to do a little bit of tweaks to set it on the folder selection. That's all. But everything else worked great with the templates that OT provided.
So people asking about SharePoint. So
right.
How would that work?
So in update, upload taxonomy. Let me just go. Oh, I'm in the first screen over here. You can see this is the select folder, right? If I want to select something from SharePoint, what I would do is go to my SharePoint site over here and then select my SharePoint site and select the folder. And then that as a map drive will get selected and the latest version will be available to you to upload to core content. So you could do that. Again, you have to do the metadata selection as well as the type selection, but it would bring the data from SharePoint, the latest data from SharePoint into core content based on selections that you're doing here.
Yeah, I could see it being like really, I mean, there's all kinds of lengths. What levels do you want to go to when you're migrating content in? But everyone in their organization has silos of data, right? They may have one big repos area, but then they have 10 other silos, right? So a tool like this for the business to just let them use it to bring content in from the different data silos to consolidate it, secure it, it has huge value to them. And that's why they're making the investment to these systems too. They buy core content because that's their intent, is to have a single point of truth with high security, high availability, AI, type tools. So having something like this to complement it will obviously is a great benefit. A little bit of, there's a performance question that came in too. I'm reading here. The questions are coming in as we sit here. What's your thoughts on performance?
I did do a few runs, and for me, when I did an upload for a few KB files, I think it was less than 1.5 around 1.5 seconds with 5 metadata. So it performed really well. Obviously, I had my system in US while my data center was in Australia. So does that factor in? But ideally, if your team is local, you would be in the same data centers, right, in your country. So based on that, obviously the selections would change and depends on the metadata as well. I did with 5 attribute values. If you have more bigger files, then it might change slightly.
Yeah, good. Deploying BDM, as far as professional services, the effort to deploy it and so forth, what's involved with that, do you think, Renita?
We would request the customer to have one VM. It could be shared, it could be dedicated based on them, on-prem, on a cloud environment, really doesn't matter. As long as we have a Tomcat running on it and we could deploy our setting service, which is configured here. That
Yeah, so
maintains
one
the license.
VM is for the on-prem, the setting services for Bulk Data Manager in your environment.
Yep.
And then this is the setting service right here that you configure.
Yep. And once that is done, there's a bit of configuration to set app in for your tenancy. That's pretty easy. Tenant admin could do that, and then we are good to go.
And then you could push this client out to whoever the business users are in your different departments that
Right.
want to use it.
Yeah, right. So group policies, it comes in MSI packages, so you could easily install it yourself, or if it's a group policy that you would like to apply, you could do that as well. It really depends upon you.
Yeah, no, I mean, the faster you get the information into core content, the more usable it is for everybody, right? It's great.
Yeah, one of the reasons to go into cloud is to have that quick deployments, right? Like you don't have to wait months for procuring the VMs, installing it, configuring it is quick. It should be quick, right? And I think with this BDM client, it does the same thing. It's quick for you to get started to upload those documents and start consolidating your data into core content as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, land and expand, right? Instead of having to be this big IT project every time, you can land and expand and have incremental value and wins, as you deploy your core content system. And then when you're trying to test it, you get your content in there and you start running Content Aviator, then you start to learn what the prompts are, right? What kind of questions are good to ask, and how you may use it in a business process, right? When you're checking for things. So, I mean, right now we're all in that mode. So this is actually a very affordable way to get going with testing out AI is with a multi-tenant SaaS solution like this, especially if you want, and then when you combine it with that, you're tying it in with a lead application integration, whether it's, Salesforce.com or Google Workspace or SAP, right? It's powerful. I think we're coming up. Yeah, we're a little bit early, but I think we're good on questions right now. We'll respond. We'll respond in. So if you have SSO, I got an SSO question. If you have SSO set up for core content, would that come through?
That would work as well. Yes. So it takes you to the core content setup for authentication using an OAuth2. So if you have an IDP setup, it would definitely work with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's some of the benefits of multi-tenant SaaS is all this stuff is just kind of baked in, right? Good. All right, folks. Thank you so much for everyone who attended today. Renita, thank you for an expert job on presenting the solution. You're now a core content expert, as I can tell, along with the BDM for core. We had to learn a new system here. We come from the traditional OpenText content server, content management ecosystem. And we're excited to be joining this core content ecosystem because we see a big push and a lot of excitement about it going forward, a multi-tenant SaaS solution. All right, folks, thanks for your time today. And we're here to help. Reach out to Fastman. We're here to help you. Thank you so much and have a good morning, good afternoon, or wherever you are in the world. Thanks,
Thank you.
Renita. All right, we're going to shut this down. Doesn't want to shut off. Oh, you got control of it, Renita. Can you close the
I do.
webinar? Yeah, you're the presenter. Are
Okay,
you able to do it?
I would make you the presenter so that you could do it. I think it's stop recording. Is that the one you need to hit?
Now on the file, exit.
Oh, okay. I can do that. Leave webinar, right? End webinar. There you go. I did click on end web.